A release date for Silksong has officially been leaked. Whether it's the genuine release date or a placeholder arbitrarily entered into the database, we're not sure. But there are a couple of signs that point to it being the real release date for Silksong. And I'm not going to waste your time. The leaked date for Silksong's release is February 1st, 2022, just a few months from now. But to evaluate whether this leaked date is real or not, I'm going to have to explain how this leak actually happened. This was part of a huge leak of game titles and release dates which occurred just a week ago on September 13th. It was found through accessing Nvidia GeForce NOW's servers. Nvidia GeForce NOW, commonly referred to as GFN, is a cloud gaming service. This is a service where games are run on external computers and streamed to your device for you to play. A person named Igor July discovered a method to access GFN's hidden database of games. It included titles, release dates, and more for many games which aren't even released yet. Igor July leaked this information afterward, explaining how he accessed the data and uploaded a copy of the database for people to peruse. Now, I won't be getting into the details of how this database was retrieved, but the point is that it was downloaded directly from Nvidia's GFN server. Naturally, Nvidia had no choice but to admit that the leak was real, but stated the data in their database was speculative, a move which some regarded as damage control. Many of you might have heard about this leak recently, but weren't aware that Silksong was part of this. A user named Walk was, in a Steam community post, the first person to report that Silksong had a release date listed of February 1st, 2022. Walk stated that Silksong had 2 entries in the GFN database and posted their IDs so users could search for them. So personally, I went straight to Igor July's backup of the database and figured out how to query the database myself to double-check the information. What I found is that while the IDs Walk posted were correct and returned data on Silksong, when I queried the database myself, the release dates for Silksong suspiciously appeared as null. I attempted to contact Walk by sending a friend request through Steam, but it was ignored. At this point, I threw up my hands and assumed it was fake, but I posted in the Steam community thread for clarification just in case. And Walk actually responded. Walk clarified that they didn't use Igor July's backup of the database. Instead, Walk had downloaded the database directly from the GFN servers on the day of the leak. Walk also stated that another poster who had similarly acquired this database themselves were also able to access release dates for games that weren't available in Igor July's backup. So I looked this user up. I found out they had a Twitter account, so I sent them a message asking if they could search through their backup of the database and let me know if Silksong's entry had a release date. Just a day later, the user, Majoki, responded. Majoki told me that Silksong did have a release date listed and confirmed that it was February 1st, 2022. Note that I never told Majoki this date before asking them to confirm it, so this proves that the date does exist within the GFN database. Now the question becomes, why does this date appear as null in Igor July's backup, but as February 1st, 2022 in other backups of the database? Walk explains 2 theories why this might have happened. First, let me note that Igor July's backup of the database was acquired on September 12th. Others, such as Walk and Majoki, who both found Silksong's release date, acquired their data on or after this backup was created. It's possible that Silksong's release date had only been entered into the database after Igor July created the backup, but before Walk and Majoki created their backups. Walk's other theory is that the discrepancy exists due to the differences in the geolocation of the users who downloaded the database. Walk noted that another user who had downloaded the database, who was in a region close to Igor July, was similarly unable to acquire the release date data in their backup. It's plausible that the GFN servers return different data depending upon the geolocation of the user downloading it. If the discrepancy was because the release date was entered into the database recently, less than 4.5 months before the game's supposed release, then it doesn't seem to be a speculative release date. Then again, the second theory seems much more plausible than the idea that the release date was entered in such a specific time frame. But either way, these are reasonable explanations why the release date appears as null for some, but as February 1st, 2022 for others. Now, before I wrap up the video, I have a couple of other comments to make. First off, February as a release date for Silksong makes a lot of sense. Hollow Knight was released in February 2017. Silksong was announced in February 2019. I think that Team Cherry would be fond of the idea of having their game ultimately release in the same month. If it is going to be a February release, I also doubt that we're going to have to wait another full year for the game to release in February 2023. And I should add that most people seem to think that Silksong will release sometime in 2022. Next, while there wasn't any new information, the database actually contained a lot more than just a release date. It contained a full description of the game, keywords for searches, and it even contained thumbnails for the game with the GeForce NOW text on top of it. To me, this suggests that GFN had serious plans in place to release this game for their service. In other words, it seems like more than just a speculative entry in their database. This arguably lends their release date a little bit more legitimacy. But at the end of the day, I don't want to oversell this, because it's still quite possibly just a placeholder release date. All we know for certain is that this date was leaked from the GFN servers, and that it seems like a plausible release date for the game. I understand that most don't want to get their hopes up, but it doesn't seem unlikely to me at this point that Silksong's release will be in February of next year. So let me know in the comments what you think of this leak, whether you believe the release date is genuine or not. I'm curious to know what you all have to say, especially regarding whether there's more people out there who downloaded the database themselves and can confirm whether the data is geo-restricted or not. At the end of the day, though, we'll just have to wait and see whether the release date is genuine. Thanks so much for watching.